probably give away the platform to our CEO, Mr. Srinivas, to just brief about the platform, and then probably we can take over the webinar. Over to you, Srinivas.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kishan. I'll not going to take much time, just only a few minutes to explain what is schools. So if you're able to see my screen, schools is a platform for to help parents to find the right school. Okay, this is a win-win situation both for the parent and also the school education institutes. Okay, education institutes can actually list their school, and they can get a lot of appointment requests and a lot of applications as well. Okay, they can go and list exclusive profile of the schools, like the way Glentree Academy has done, TGSP has done. Okay, and parents can search for the right school for the kid and compare between multiple schools. Like I've done a comparison between 3 schools here, right? So you can do that. So schools can also education institutes. Yeah, when I say schools, I'm talking about education institutes.
It's already started.
Education institutes can
or get your laptop, please, soon.
Can enter all the details about the value of the schools, gallery, basic information, fees, contact numbers, and the reviews as well. So you can see that one of the school added the key differentiator, the videos of the schools, okay, and what are the basic information, type of the school, which board they're affiliated to, the fees, all the details. Then what are the outdoor sport they offer, indoor sports they offer, okay, and what are the fees details as well, okay. So along with that, we also have few colleges also registered with us already. One of the Reva colleges registered with us. You can see that they added a lot of information about the school, sorry, college. Okay, and also the parents can review about the college as well, right? So what is that? We have n number of blogs content, which is like a lot of value add in terms of the information that we are passing on to both the parents and also the education institutes. Okay, and we conduct a lot of webinars. So today, we are honored to have both Mr. Jaipal sir and also Kalpana madam for helping us understand what is NEP is all about. Okay, and finally, as an education institute, if you're part of the education institute here, this is what the goal that we have. Okay, we want to help you increase your number of applications. We want to help you increase your appointment request for your school. Okay, genuine appointment request, because before the appointment request comes to you, you'll be validating their mobile number and the email ID. Okay, and you can also list your extensive school profile. Okay, this is a kind of a win-win situation both for the parent and also the education institute. Okay, with that I'm done. Kishan, back to you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Srinivas. That was really wonderful. You took us the whole journey of schools, and I'm sure that a lot of schools will get that advantage of getting the leads through our portal, and also the parents, which will help them in getting to know about all the school features at one go. So as we said, today's webinar is about the understanding NEP. So we have 2 noted educationalists. One is Mr. Jaipal Ramaya. Welcome, sir. And Ms. Kalpana Mohan. Welcome, madam. We would like to hear more from you. So I would like to probably introduce Ms. Kalpana Mohan, and going forward, madam will introduce Jaipal and we can go into the webinar. So just to know about Ms. Kalpana. Ms. Kalpana Mohan is a teacher by profession hailing from Bangalore. With 35 years of teaching and administrative experience to go with. She served as a principal of Vidyashilp Academy, ranked among the top 10 ICSE and IGCSE schools in India for more than 18 years. She's in the advisory board of Besselwood International School, an initiative by ISKCON Bangalore. She also conducts academic audits for schools. Primarily a bachelor degree holder in chemistry, she has a master's in political science to her name, in addition to a master in mass communication and journalism and a master's in education management. She is certified in program leader by Cambridge University London and trained more than 60 teachers for Cambridge International Diploma for Teachers and Trainers. She's a certified educator in global perspective. She holds a certificate on managing diversity in the classroom under the RTE. She has won several awards for her contributions to education. Some of them are Swarna Karnataka, Shikshana Ratna by Government of Karnataka, Best Principal Award by BO Office, Bangalore North, and identified as Super Citizen by DNA newspaper, and got felicitated as Progressive Principal of India, Best Academic Consultant in Karnataka by GTF in Bangkok, to name a few. She is an ardent reader and also likes to listen to music. She's also an avid follower of sports. Mrs. Kalpana is passionate about cricket and had represented University of Madras. In fact, to tell you all, this is very small is what I have told about her. It's such a very broad and a lengthy one. Considering the time, I've just given only the heads up. I would probably give the platform to Madam to take over the webinar.
Thank you very much, Kishan. Good evening, one and all. And I'm very happy to be amongst you once again. And I'm very, very happy to see my friend, Mr. Jaipal, with whom I have traveled to Finland, and he's one of the great educationists in Bangalore today. Good evening, Mr. Jaipal. I would like to invite you for this show. And we are going to talk about NEP in general. You know, we all know as Jaipal sir is a engineer by profession. He has studied his mechanical engineering in MS Ramaya College. And he is founder, president of Global City International School. And also he is the person who is very much interested in bringing 21st century teaching and learning to the world. His school has taken a lot of initiatives to bring in that kind of important aspects of teaching and learning to the floor. He is not only in the school level, even in the college level, and he also won several awards. As I told you, he traveled with Finland, and he wants to implement Finnish model of education in all the places. Welcome, Jaipal sir. Good evening.
I think he's facing some technical issue, madam. I think it's dropped off. I should be able to join soon, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Before Mr. Jaipal join us, I would like to have a small briefing about new education policy, which we were talking about for a long time. It's not that yesterday or day before the policies are coming. Normally, education policies are done probably every 3 years, 2 years, 5 years, depending on what government is going to take place. We had one education policy in 1986. We had another education policy in 2003, etc. So all those things probably is where we were just giving what is that we have to do in education, etc., etc. It was not a very clear-cut policy of what kind of implementation it has to happen and how it has to be taken forward. But the Education Policy 2020 has brought in a very broad spectrum. Very eminent educationalists like Dr. Kasturi Rangan was a panelist member, and he was the person who made all the people to come together. Today it's in paper also that he's going to be the curriculum reviewer of the entire country. So that kind of educationalists have brought in this particular new education policy or National Education Policy 2020. And this policy states that the schools will be in a very different way now. They will not be like how they were before. What are the yes and no's, what are the addition, subtraction, how the school should happen, how the implementation should happen, how the training should happen. Everything is explained in that policy. We are going to talk about it in very, very elaborate way, and there are some myths behind it. There are so many questions and answers who are for it and against it. Somebody says it's good, somebody says it's not good. So all those things we need to bring in. And no government can bring a wrong policy to the table. That's what I would like to mention. But if we feel that there is a small there was time, the draft was released and people gave their opinions and final drafts were created. So that's how the policy came into existence. Okay, so that's what is that we have to start with. Can I have Jaipal sir on screen? Is he there?
Yes, madam, is there. Is he? Yeah, sorry.
Good afternoon, madam.
Good evening, Jaipal sir.
Sorry for the delay. Had some technical problems. I was not able to log in.
No problem, sir. We are on this, and I have just given a brief introduction of NEP, and probably we'll start our session asking few questions to you. Probably you can ask few questions to me also, so we can just go ahead like that. Let's start with the first important question, because there are some of the people have got some kind of doubts. We can call it as like normally people will have doubts when something new coming in. So we will have some clarifications on that. Possibly the first question may be the system itself. What is this 5+3+3+4 system in NEP? Can you please elaborate, sir?
Yeah, surely. It's so nice of you, madam. Madam, 5+3+3+4, the fundamental stages of 5 years, fundamental stage 5.
Yeah.
Other one will be for 5 years.
Yeah.
Preparatory stage will be for 3 years.
Yeah.
And middle stage will be 3 years. And the secondary stage will be 4 years. So
yeah.
From the 5 years will be from the age group of 3 to 6. And preparatory stage will be from age 8 to 11.
Yeah.
And middle stage will be from 11 to 14, and the secondary will be from 14 to 18.
Yep.
So these are the things, and still little more elaborately I can tell you. As approved on July 29, it is set to replace 10+2 schooling system in India with a new 5+3+3+4 system. But this doesn't mean that 10+2 system will become absolute. The new schooling system only brings 3 years of kindergarten classes to play school under the ambit of formal education. Since the NEP 2020 also increases the span of the Right to Education Act and will now cover ages from 3 to 18, it looks at organizing the total school education period so that the early childhood care education ECCE or pre-primary levels, there is more access, affordability, accountability, and universality, and all the other better quality of education as per the education system usually followed in urban settings today. Children from joining play schools and then move to schools where they carry out 2 years of kindergarten classes, KG classes, following by 12 years of school education classes from 1 to 12. This change from 10 to 12 to 5+3+3 system would help with more streamlining and inclusive transition from pre-primary ages to the higher classes of grade 9 to 12.
Yeah. So that's the initial system, 5+3+3+4.
Yes.
Actually, it was told that in the initial stage that the children will be having more of playway method. They talk more, they do things hands-on rather than just copying and pasting, and exams cannot be there up to probably preparatory and to grade 3 to 5. Then later they will be introduced to some kind of coding and things like that in grade 6 to 8. And of course, that a little more serious from 9 to 12 for career deciding courses and things like that. Maybe the 10+2+3, what we had till today, is getting little revamped, maybe reorganized. That's what we can call it as by the new education system. And it's actually the 10+2+3 wasn't that very bad, but the new system may take you to the higher level. That's what is I also felt about it. Thank you very much, sir. That was a very good explanation for us. But if they go like this, what kind of peer system, what kind of evaluation systems we can have on that? How they can evaluate on the basis of 3+3+3+4 or 5+3+3+4? How they can evaluate the children? How they can go ahead on that? Can you please throw some light on it, sir? When we are talking about the age group of preparatory and middle, where the NEP suggests about multidisciplinary, which we had learned in Finnish model, We had gone to Finland, me and Jaipal sir, both of them, we had gone to Finland and together, and we have learned about what is meant by multidisciplinary. That means to say that instead of studying the subject, we study the topic through all the subjects which we have. We won't do away with the subject, but what we will do is we will try to bring in all the aspects of every topic through all the subjects. I can give an example. If at all it's going to be, say, transport, if we say, like normally transport is a topic which normally social studies will have. But if you look into it, the same transport can be brought in from all subjects perspectives. Particularly if you look into English, we can have essay on what transportation is all about. We can have tourism and development. In languages also, they can bring in that how the travel can happen from one place to another, etc. And in sciences, they can say transportation within the plant, how the animals move from one place to another, what kind of transportation system, what kind of locomotive system from pre-cellular organism to the higher organisms, and what kind of speed a cheetah can have, and so on and so forth. And that normally inside the plant, the water transported from root to shoots, etc. And in mathematics, speed, velocity, and time, and physics also, we can have speed, velocity, and time with the transportation, and one place to another, how long it takes, and things like that, calculations and speed and distance and time and all. And in any other subject, say, particularly in social studies, as I told you, what kind of transportation is available all over, that is terrestrial, air transport, ship, etc., etc. So one topic like transport can be brought in from all the other topics and all the other subjects. And so multidisciplinary is something which is going to be very, very interesting for the student. At the end, the children can make a project, because in grade 6 to 8 also, NEP suggests projects-based learning. So the children, after doing a subject or a topic, they can do a project on it and present it to everybody, which will increase their knowledge of how to make their own research things. Because nowadays, teaching one from the teachers to student is going to be boring. And when children are involved in making this kind of project, then the learning is very, very comprehensive. That is what we call it as multidisciplinary teaching and learning. So next very important question when people are asking about evaluation part is like we can have, as I told you, project-based learning will bring evaluation through students to student, peer to peer, and teacher to the student. And of course, if you are going to present it to the public, even society, other teachers, the parents, everybody can evaluate what kind of learning has happened for the children. So this is how the evaluation can happen in NEP. What we are talking about is the 3-language formula. There is always uproar in all over the world, all over the country, sorry, not all over the world, all over the country, that some kind of imposition of some language is happening through NEP. So that was a very big myth, what I can call it as. See, the NEP suggests that 3 language, that is medium of instruction, 1 language, probably the local language. If it is Karnataka, it is Kannada. If it is Tamil Nadu, it is Tamil, or is Maharashtra, it is Marathi. And apart from that, 1 language the children can learn. It can be Hindi, it can be Sanskrit, and so on and so forth. See, this is a suggestion. If the school decides that I will not teach Hindi and Sanskrit, I'll teach some other subject, then they're free to do it. Nobody is stopping them. There is no imposition. It is suggested. It is recommended. The word is very clear in NEP's terms. It is not told you must do it or you should do it. Nowhere it is given. Also, the NEP's suggestion is at least up to 8th grade, try to give teaching in the local language, that mother tongue. But some people have started, how can it happen? If it is going to be mother tongue, they will lose out in English. It's a common language. It's very difficult, and so on and so forth. Nobody is stopping them from teaching English. Everybody will teach English. But local language medium of instruction, the children's thought process may be very good. The children can think very well because they are hearing that language from the day one of their birth. But there are problems in cosmopolitan cities like Bangalore because there are so many different kind of people live. A lot of what do you call it as people say from north and south and east and west. So many people are living, and for them there is no common mother tongue. There, the medium of instruction in one language will be little difficult. But I call it as it's not that very difficult because in Finland, whoever goes there, whoever is staying there, the medium of instruction is Finnish only. They are taught English, but basic instruction, whatever happened in the class happens in English. So that is what we call it as that it is not so difficult. But again, that is not given as a mandatory thing there. People are not told that you must do it or something like that. It is not given anywhere. It is recommended to have mother tongue teaching up to 8th grade is the question. So that is a myth. But it is actually making very clear the children should learn 3 languages in the early stages of their life, which is very nice. And now people are saying, oh, how can we teach Sanskrit? How can we teach Hindi, etc.? Because in northern countries, northern India, Hindi is becoming their own language. Maybe some of the schools have medium of instruction also in Hindi. So if they learn 2 more languages or 1 more language, English is already one more language. In fact, all the researchers have told up to the age of 8, the children can learn as many as 8 languages if they can learn it. You can see, for example, in a family where one mother is from, say, Tamil Nadu, father is from, say, Andhra Pradesh, the child can learn, and they live in Bangalore. The father's language, mother's language, the local language, and English, the child learns within the age of 3 and 4. They speak all the languages because they are able to catch that very well. That's where we need to insist that NEP is not forcing anything, but at the same time giving a lot of guidelines to the children what they can do. So that's what is the 3 language formula happens. Are you able to see the thing? I'll just...
Yeah.
So let us see some of the foundational pillars of NEP 2020. That is their access, their equity, their quality, their affordability, and accountability. These are all the very important features of NEP of 2020. And its aims about produced, engaged, productive, and contributing citizens for building an equitable, inclusive, and plural society as envisaged by our Constitution. So what is meant by equitable, inclusive, and plural society? So equitable is the thing, we cannot say it is equality or whatever. No, it is education for all. That is the reason. That's what the important thing in that. And inclusive, they will not leave children who are having learning difficulty, physical learning disability. We can call it as differently abled students, and so on. Again, a plural society means it's again says that it is not going to stop with certain amount of people. It's not for the rich alone. It's for the people economically backward, also where the tribal people whom they are not access to education through certain media, those areas NEP is going to intrude and give the thing. We can ask a question, are they not happening like this even today? Yes, it's happening. I'm not saying India, we are trying to put things all over India, but there are certain kind of lacunas, certain kind of hindrances which has happened before. NEP gives a lot of solution to it. So let me see, what is the kind of flexibility this NEP has got? The NEP has got flexibility on the basis of what kind of learning process, where the program, which program the teachers have to, children can choose, and they can choose accordingly, where their talents are. This is one thing we are lacking. In most of the advanced education countries, I would like to have a small pointer here. Our education system 300, 400 years ago were based on talents. Whatever the children have the talent, however they want to have, like that it was given. The children were talents were identified, and the gurus on Gurukul system taught them what talent they had. In fact, all the interpretation of the Varna theory came in very late, not even 200, 250 years ago. Earlier, whoever has the talent of doing things, if a king's child is good in doing archery or in carpentry, the child was allowed to do it. We can see about one of the very great example is when you take Mahabharata, in that five princes were having 5 different talents, include Bhima knows how to cook because he was very good cook. He was taught to cook and he was given that beyond fighting with mace, Gatha, he was also taught how to make food. Similarly, Nakula and Sahadeva, they were good with horses and cows. They were warriors, but they were being taught that. So when you look into it, there was no discrimination of any job. That is called flexibility, what we are calling it. We had it before, but we lost it in the middle due to so many colonial system, and we are coming back to it. So what we are trying to say, NEP can bring the talent enhancement in the children. So that is called what we call flexibility. Again, art and sciences are going to be merged. We have already got STEM and STEAM education, where science, technology, engineering, mathematics, science, technology, engineering, art and mathematics, STEAM is coming. So there can be no curricular and extracurricular. All are going to become curricular only. That is what NEP is going to bring in. So there is no difference, vocational and academic. That is, the academics is not going to create clerks, but it's going to create jobs and entrepreneurs. People are going to do things on their own. That's what this NEP's aim is all about. Also, unity of knowledge and integrity. That is, harmful hierarchies, unnecessary things of learning differences will be removed. For example, if a child is differently able, the child will not be told that you cannot do it, just get lost. It's not going to happen like that. The child is going to be taken, carried along with others, and whichever the child is capable of, whatever the area the child is capable of, the potential of the child will be tapped through the NEP. So that is what is given. And that is, I have explained about multidisciplinary and holistic education in general. And I have told also, me and Mr. Jaipal had gone to Finland, and we have seen how multidisciplinary is implemented there. The classes are being taken, and the children did project. Children were taken to field trips to understand what it is. In fact, we saw a project on marshland, inclusive of geography and history and science and math, everything in one shot. Then emphasis on conceptual understanding rather than learning for exams. We all have seen the children mug up answers and write the exam, which will be removed through this NEP because, as I told you, in the 6th and 8th grade or preparatory stages, children will be given a lot of hands-on experience. Experiential learning will be there. On creativity and critical thinking also, the logical decision making. See, in Bloom's taxonomy, we always see when revised Bloom taxonomy, Loren was brought in verbs instead of nouns, understanding, applying, analyzing, creativity, evaluating. We brought in that. So when we are going to have creativity, and creativity is the topmost part of critical thinking. Only when you think very well, we can be creative. We can find different areas to consider. That is what we call it as creativity. And this is the last one, is absolutely very important, and NEP says that, which was not there in most of the educational policies earlier. That is empathy, respect for others, cleanliness, etiquette, courtesy, democratic spirit. I mean, this is very, very crucial for current year, democratic spirit, spirit of service, scientific temper, liberty, responsibility, pluralism, equality, and justice. This many things have to be taught. There must be a value add in all the things what we teach. NEP emphasis on that, which is actually was told by every single school. If you see any school's vision and mission statement, complete, responsible, wholesome society, everything they will say. But where was it was implemented, we won't know. But NEP will insist that these things are implemented. So that's what is NEP says. And life skills like cooperation, communication, collaboration, resilience. Resilience is that like we need to put ourselves into other people's shoes to see how things are happening. Of course, teamwork. We are going to have, see the whole, most of the things are going to be on teamwork. When you go to any company after finishing your engineering, MTech or anything, whatever it is, you have 2 months training for being together. There will be a group discussion to select you itself. So where we have to show how we can cooperate, how to initiate our, how to do initiation. Instead of just listening to somebody, you start the thing. Oh, we can do this. We will do it together. The communication part. Those things are going to be emphasized on NEP. Then this is the assessment part of it. Regular formative assessment learning. Then admitting there is no coaching culture. There's no, we all know the moment the children come to 9th standard, everybody put the child into coaching centers and make them like one robos, chapa like this. Everybody will have to go to coaching centers. That will not be required because coaching culture should be removed according to NEP. There will be formative assessments. That is, immediately the teachers will get a feedback that if the children have understood or not. If there is an issue, the teachers can go back and teach it again. So the coaching culture might reduce. Maybe coaching centers may be against NEP too. Then respect for diversity and respect for local context. This is what. For example, if you are going to talk about what's happening in Uttar Pradesh and Tamil Nadu, people may not be interested in learning about it. So a lot of localized content has to be brought in according to NEP. Because now recently also it came in paper, education is a concurrent subject. It is not state developed subject. Education is a concurrent subject. Even today, people want to bring into a concurrent subject, but the content must be localized. That's what it is going to be all about. Then full equity and inclusion as the cornerstone of educational decisions to ensure all students are able to thrive education system. Because the system should not make the children threatened. Oh, it's so difficult. I can't study 10th. I can't study 12th. They shouldn't be saying. So they will bring full equity. Children should feel safe to study in a system. That is what NEP is thinking about. Then resource efficiency. Okay. For learning something, the teachers need to know what is there in that subject. So resources are very, very crucial. We have huge resource nowadays on a click of a mouse that we have entire internet in front of us and we get a lot of information. But are all the information correct? Or all the information is can be taken and given? There may be some mistakes here, some mistake there. So we should not make any compromise for the correct and honest kind of feedback, honest information. So there we need to, NEP give an emphasis that the school should take the responsibility of efficiently managing the resources. And this is very, very important. Nowadays, it was always told that most of the important functions need training. Even as I told you, even after their engineering or masters, children are given training. But what happens for teachers, if there is no other job, I go to teaching. There is no proper training and the youngster's mind is given to people who are not ready to teach them what they require. They teach what they know. That is, we don't see what children need. We see what I want to teach. So those kind of things will be removed in NEP because teacher training institutes are going to be created all over India and they are going to be trained. That means to say recruitment process, preparation, professional development, positive working environment and service condition will be there. Again, as I told, one of the topmost education system in the world, first 20 or first 15, what if you take, these are mandatory. In fact, in Finland, the most highly paid professionals are teachers. And 60% of the graduates want to become teachers. That's what they say. But here, if you say anybody, any teacher's child also, do you want to become a teacher? No. They say no. Because that's a problem. Because we don't consider that as a good profession because they are very poorly paid. They are not treated by the society. Recently also, when the online classes are going on, teachers have put in a phenomenal effort. But what has happened to the people? People spoke very rudely. No school, no fee. Then who will pay the teachers? Nobody even thought about it. So those things have to, that kind of disrespect for the community, for the profession itself has to change. NEP can bring that. And regulatory system will be there because the implementation process, people might ask, oh, everything is on paper. Who is going to do it? The regulatory system is that we are going to have people sitting in one area, governance and empowerment is going to be there. That's what is being clearly given in NEP. Then outstanding research is very important. Continuous policy making is also important. And the last point is very important. NEP says that rootedness and pride in India, its rich, diverse, ancient and modern culture of knowledge, systems and traditions, and forward-looking all aspirations, they will be incorporated in the accurate manner. There can be no deviation from the real history. That is what is going to be. See, if you remember, in some of the states already, there are some new lessons being added. So that is how NEP is going to bring in a complete phenomenal change, even in the content, what we had. And it is not a private profit. It is the, public service. Quality education is considered fundamental right according to NEP. And we have to have vibrant public education system. And these things have been told in NEP. And how the structure is changed, you can see this is an existing 10+2+ thing. Now you can see the system, 4 years, 9 to 12 at the end, starting from 5 years foundational stage, preparatory stage, middle stage and secondary stage, which is again 9 to 12, classes 9 to 12, multidisciplinaries, greater critical thinking, flexibility, and subject options were given to the students. Not that everybody should study everything. We can say, if at all I'm not very happy with doing math, I want to do art, you will do it. It's like that. So that is how it is. This is a new system. So this is how we can, I have told all these things about the regional and languages, etc. We have done all the research on that, how the preparatory stage, how the middle stage, Mr. Jaipal has already told about it. So after the thing is over, higher education also bring in a lot of changes in NEP. That is, UGC will be taken care of by a complete education system of India. It's a common board will be there to take care. And higher education to foreign people, they can all come in and start giving that kind of education to us. 4 years multidisciplinary bachelor program. It's not 3 years. Then different designs, like anything master, you can do this, any kind of subject you can do. You can do 2 science and 2 art subject also. That kind of things you can do. And there is no MPhil programs in future. And setting up of National Research Foundation is also there. Also, there is a very important thing for the higher education is that when the children have finished, say, first year of degree or second year of degree, and for some reason, the children have to discontinue, maybe financial position, father passed away, mother is not there, I want to go for work or something like that, the children will get 1 certificate, completed second year of degree. Completed second year of first year or first year of degree. So you will have some kind of validity. What happens now if you are getting dropout from a degree college, there is no authenticity for that. But we will be getting a certificate according on the NEP platform. So these are all some of the facts which I want to share with you for NEP on that. When it goes to NEP, it's actually a very beautiful process what the school people have got it. And also Jaipal sir has left, is it?
Yeah, madam, I did try calling him. He said he could not join. There's some serious technical issue, and he's waiting for his IT guy.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry about it. We couldn't do that. But let's come.
Yeah, madam, we have certain.
Yeah, no. Just I have a few more points to talk to.
Sure, madam.
There is a new assessment center will be formed, which is called PARAKH, P-A-R-A-K-H. The PARAKH is going to be performance, assessment, review, and analysis of knowledge of holistic development. And it will be standard setting, and it will be regulatory body for conducting examinations, etc. And also the UG courses, as I told you, after 1 year, you can get a certificate. 2 years means it's called advanced diploma, bachelor degree after 3 years, and bachelor degree with research after 4 years. That is what the UG system is going to be. And also multiple entry. That is, after I finish, I select one subject and enter into UG, but I'm not very happy after some time. So I can make changes in my subject in the middle of the year also. So that is one of the things which is going to come in, because the children will get that flexibility and they are not forced that what they don't know, like they have to study and things like that. And teachers also, the training centers will be open, and also it will be regulated by the center through state governments and etc. So the myth of education policy getting into the system and making it is in a very bad thing is completely wrong. Education policy, and I underline again, if implemented properly, is the best. The Indian education system may be on the top of the list. So yes, Kishan sir, I will take the questions now.
Thanks, madam. That was really wonderful. That was a wonderful dive into NEP. That was, in fact, a deep dive in, as I guess most of us would have got an understanding as to what is NEP, why NEP, and all those things. Thanks, madam. I have certain questions from our attendees here. The first question is, what kind of role does NEP play when it comes to entrepreneurship skills for age group 5+, and what specialized curriculum will it support?
This is a very good question. At the age 5+, it will be, the children will be allowed to think independently. That's what is very important, correct? So the children will not be made to study, okay, you have to study A, B, C, D, and A for apple and all 10 times you write and all. That is not going to be the case. They are going to be allowed to handle things hands-on. So when they do it, the children's creativity and the kind of thinking process are going to be different. When you're going to say that you read only this, don't know, nothing else is required, the children are going to be sticking to one condition. But you're going to give them a complete freedom and ask them to do things what they want within the peripherals what we have. So for example, there is a game. That is a co-curricular activity. The child is good at it. The child can explore, they can give more ideas to it and so on and so forth. And entrepreneurship skills come slowly developing when you think independently. When I can do things on my own is entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is not only buying and selling. I can do things on my own is entrepreneurship. So the children can do. And again, specialized subjects means it is depending upon the potential of the child, what the child is interested in. I just told you about how the multiple entry, how different subject can be chosen when they go to degree colleges. When they want, they start with, see, when in University of San Diego, when I have visited, it has told that one child has came with computer engineering. He came he got the admission in computers. But when the child started seeing in the University of San Diego and those areas, a lot of marine things are happening. They saw the child. University of Santa Barbara. So the Santa Barbara University is actually having a lagoon inside the university itself. A lot of marine things are happening. The child went for computers and saw all those things. And the child said, no, I'm going to learn marine biology. So the child shifted from computer engineering to marine biology. So that is the flexibility we are talking about. The specialized subject can be on the basis of the child's interest and child potential and child's capability. So those things can be assessed because the formative assessment can be quickly bring in what is the kind of potentiality the child has got. So that will be really done in NAP. That can be done.
Great. We have another question. By when would the NEP be coming implemented?
In fact, most of the states are already ready to implement. It got little delayed because of the online classes happening due to COVID and things like that. But already Karnataka has announced that we are going to start NEP properly and we are ready for that. Most of the schools are already announcing that we are NEP ready in their thing. And the only thing is the regulatory bodies, which was promised in NEP, should come in place. Then it will start. Maybe I am expecting it to start definitely by 22, 23.
So the next one is when exactly the policy will be implemented nationwide in schools and institutions, and what
that is what we cannot predict immediately. Our entire state and everything should be ready. They know recently they have made that education should be concurrent list. It has come. Then a lot of uproar is happening. But a concurrent list, if it has come only, entire country can come under one umbrella and they can start. Because nowadays, state governments has got their own syllabus. There are so many boards and things like that.
Okay.
It's like that.
And will the boards be like CBSE, ICSE state, or it will be a common inclusive board?
No, currently the boards will stay, but they will implement NEP. Because most of the boards are talking in those terms. CBSE already has issued a rule, guidelines to schools about NEP, about multidisciplinary, about specialized teaching, vocational teaching, everything they have given. Most of the CBSE schools are ready to implement, and also ICSE schools also might be doing. Boards will remain for some time, at least definitely for some time, but the implementation process will be on the basis of NEP. That's what it is. And one person has asked a question, will it be applied across the classroom? Definitely. It will start from the age of 3 to age of 18. It has to be applied for everybody. If only the foundation level is going to be strong, the building can be stronger. So that's why it should be implemented from day one to the children. So that Mr. Soumya has asked that question. I saw that popping up.
And will the streams like engineering exit or merged is what they're asking.
Sorry, the stream like engineering?
Will it exit or will it get merged is what
How it will not there. It will be definitely there. It cannot get merged. Not all the engineering are the same. Probably the engineering section, when I'm entering into electrical engineering, I'm not very comfortable. So I want to shift it to say IT or mechanical, I will be allowed to do it. That's what is the change of boards or change of subject, multiple entry to the UG courses. That is allowed. So I don't need to study because I got an electrical engineering seat. I will continue to study electrical engineering in spite I don't like it. So I can make a change. That's what it is. Then there can be no merging. Mechanical and electrical engineering are definitely not the same. They are going to be like that only. But when you want to, if you don't want to do it and I want to change it, I can do it. But engineering courses will be there.
We have another question where they're asking, NAP also mentions about NIOS.
Yeah.
NIOS, any insight on that?
Yeah, NIOS is National Institute of Open Schooling. It is already there in most of the places because I am a very big advocate for that because I like it so much because there are so many opportunities for the children who wants to pursue some other career. Particularly, in the schools which I have worked, one of the child who wants to pursue tennis and cannot come to school regularly. And he wants to study also, good student. So what happened is he's chosen NIOS and he did that and he'll go from morning to evening for coaching and he will be doing his course in a simpler way. And because you can take your courses in probably three courses or two papers like that. And finally, they can finish the 10th standard exam along with the others. And NIOS is something which is a real big boon for the children who are slow learners, children who cannot remember so many things at a time. That is very good for them. And that is a very beautiful thing, and is still not popular because it's always been wrongly interpreted that the children who are having learning disability do that. It's not so. It's a very beautiful program. People can go into NIOS website to see that. It's a fantastic program. Children who are having interest in other music, pursuing dance and things like that, want to be a part of maybe a cricket player or pursue complete sports in their life, but also they require academic background, academic degree, they can take it. NIOS is one of the biggest boon which is available in India.
Madam, I guess we have a parent who has a child who is in 10th standard probably. They're asking whether the board exam is there for 10th standard or not.
No, NEP doesn't say that it is there. It's normally the NEP says it's 12th grade only the exams comes. 10th standard exams are optional. CBSE did it for some time before. 10th standard exams were optional, and if you want, you can take. Otherwise, you can do internal exams and all. CBSE did for almost 3-4 years. After that, they came back to 10th standard examination. But 10th standard examinations, according to new education policy, is not mandatory. If the children want to take, they can take. But personally, after 10th standard, there is one exam. If the children take, it will be really useful. Children will have some kind of seriousness in life that it is not so easy to finish their 12th grade. And career deciding exams at 12th grade is going to be a little difficult writing for the first time. So they can write one 10th standard exam. But now currently, it is not insisting on it. NEP doesn't say that.
Okay. Madam, if you're okay, I would probably give you a 2 minutes break, and probably we have 2-3 questions, and then probably.
No,
you've been
I
speaking
can
since.
continue. I can finish.
Okay, no issues, madam. Yeah, will the competitive exam exist at undergrad level is what they're asking.
Absolutely, because it's going to be common exam throughout the country. It cannot be that there'll be no 10 exams. As NEET has come, like it is all over India, there is only one exam, right? Similarly, all the exams will be coming under one roof. They will not conduct different, say, in CET in Karnataka, one more exam in some other state. It's not going to be like that. It will be coming under one canopy. All the entrance exams will be there. And actually, it gives a lot of opportunity for the children who are economically backward to get their right place if they write entrance examinations. On the basis of entrance examination, if the government are going to give the seats and with the lower prices, etc., the children who are from very poor families will get a very great opportunity. So I think that's going to be there.
Okay. Madam, we have a very interesting question which is off the school. We have a publisher who has logged in, and he's asking what is the scope to prepare a handbook for training teachers on NEP?
See, handbook of training teachers is already given in NEP itself. You can open the PDF and you can see that. NEP is given a lot of guidelines how the teachers have to be trained. As a trainer myself, I am very much ready to support anybody who wants to give training to the teachers on NEP. And if the publisher wants, we can help him to make a handbook also. It's there available in NEP document itself. It's a very big PDF. He can open and he can actually remove it and put it as a handbook also. It is a reprintable PDF file. He can do that.
Okay.
What is there? Guidelines are given, how the teachers have to be trained, etc.
Great. Yes, madam. We are as such done with the questions.
I think Kishan just a couple of more questions, I believe. Ma'am, there will be you spoke about teachers training, right? Will there be any training for psychology as well? How to handle kids and
absolutely, counselors are a must in the classrooms.
Okay.
In every school there should be a counselor. That's a rule in NEP too.
Okay. So
that is what it is. They have to have a counselor.
Correct. So I think that was another question. One more question.
Shweta is asking, is in NIOS, can the child take the exam directly? 10th, yes, the child can take. The child should have completed 14 years of age, and they should go through a school where NIOS is accredited, and attending classes, not classes. If it is science papers, they have to write, they have to go for labs and things like that. They can talk to some of the schools who have taken NIOS, And yes, they can do homeschooling and take NIOS directly through a school which is accredited for NIOS. So that's the answer for that. One other one other person has asked how to become a trainer, teaching, etc. You need to get a formal course for teacher training, and it comes a lot with experience than being taught. So that's how it is. That's how it is. You have to have teaching as a profession, and at least like Aristotle said, if you teach 30 years, you're a half teacher. So at least these 30 years, you will become automatically a teacher who can teach others. So that's what I feel. So that's how we can work on. Probably more than that, I feel teacher training is not a very easy game, because it requires a lot of thorough knowledge of the subject, and also thorough knowledge of training people. So that's something you need a lot of patience. So that you have to do. So you can become a trainer. There's nothing that nobody can become, nobody not become, etc. Everybody can become, but don't worry, everybody are capable. So if you are going to do that, you can do. That's it.
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, one more question from Slavak Kapoor. How will 7-8 grades will kid adapt to so suddenly to NEP if they're not been following from beginning?
No, actually, I want to tell you that it is not that very difficult, because the children are always wanting to do things on their own. And project, if you give the children who are not supposed to be academically, not 90% child, you see a child who is getting 60-70% does a better job in project than the 90% child, because the child, so knowledge, see, when you learn something without pressure, you learn very well. So children will really start excited about the whole thing, that they are not going to be forced to do something. So there is no problem that the child in 7th grade coming, 8th grade coming, they will not have any issues. That for sure. Because kids want the schools to leave them free, learn by themselves, rather than somebody is always telling, do this, do this, do this. Copying answers from the textbook as a homework is very, very boring. And instead, I'm going to tell, I have a very small example I can give. In a geography class, they say Amazon forest. Let us say Amazon, they are studying about Amazon forest. Recently, I saw in some of the school Amazon forest, so I'm remembering. So the child is going to do Amazon forest. All of you prepare one PPT about Amazon forest. But use your textbook for that reference. So copy, paste. What is the use? Instead, what is the kind of contribution Amazon forest is giving to the world? One question can be like that. One more question can be, what is the impact of the forest fire of Amazon to the world? So that is going to bring in some other horizon to the child. The child will know there was a forest fire. How many kids know there was a forest fire? How many, leave the kids, how many adults know there was a big forest fire in Amazon? Nobody knows. Oh yeah, is it so? What is there if there is a forest fire? So much of acres of trees were burned. And it has got a complete impact on global climatic system. So these things can be brought in through the homework. That is called is going to be. So do you think an 8th grade child is going to say no to it? Happy he'll be, because they will be not forced to learn what is given in the book. So I feel there is no issue on that.
So they're already ready. Just
yeah, more, I bet, I can even vouch for it. Children are ready to take it. They are very, very smart. Okay. Our kids are absolutely smart. We are actually not allowing them to do. No, you have to do this only, this only. It is like every day making pongal and chutney in the morning. So boring.
Yeah. Ma'am, I think we have one last question from Srimani. Does NEP have scope for sports as a specialized subject? I think you covered it already.
Definitely it's there. Definitely it's there. One more person has asked about IGCSE. IGCSE is already going on with a lot of things what the NEP says. So I don't think it is going to impact. IGCSE schools are already NEP ready. The IGCSE syllabus itself is having a lot of things what NEP says. It is a board from London. They are all Western adopted things. And in fact, IGCSE is nothing but the Indian education system taken to London, according to. It was an education system which was there with us earlier.
So
Anyway,
we're bringing it back.
we are bringing it back.
Okay. Yeah, I think only one question from my side, ma'am. Where do you rate this NEP compared to other education system outside the world? You already answered it in some ways, but in terms of ranking, is it like will be the number one in the world, something like that?
If implemented properly, this is the best system.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah. Any more questions? Kishan, can we?
Yeah, that's all I guess. Okay. Anyways, thanks, madam. Thanks for your wonderful time, and you gave us a in-depth knowledge about NEP. I'm sure all the attendees who are here would also have got a full-fledged information about NEP. So thanks, madam, and thanks, Srinivas. Thanks, Harish, for the technical help. Thanks all the attendees who have been here for 1 hour. And we would always request you to stay logged in on our school's event page, because we have a lot more events to keep coming and a lot of information for all the people. Okay, thanks. Thanks.
Thank you, Jaipal sir. Even though he is not there, we tried to come in.
Sir.
There was an issue with his technology. He couldn't come back. Hope I could fill his place a little bit. So there's no lacuna. But anyway, thank you so much for coming in, Jaipal sir. We can just giving our personal thanks to him already.
Yeah.
Sure,
And,
Thanks,
thank
Jaipal
you
sir,
for school's team for allowing to talk so much and finishing it.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for the wonderful wisdom that you shared. And it's always a pleasure to hear you, as I always say. I think the way you manage the entire show is really awesome. We already getting a lot of comments from all the people who attended, that they've been kind of gained a lot of knowledge through the session. Thank you so much, ma'am. And I think
thank you very much, and have a great day. Good evening.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. So kindly join our other webinars as well.